everyone, Lady Sapphire here. I know it's been a while. I was out of town. I'm back now, and I'm back to making some videos for you guys. So today we're going to get into a little bit more of a controversial issue. I know it's controversial. I come from a very religious place. My family is very religious. I know a lot of people in Northern America and most of the world actually are religious people. I am not. I am wearing my lovely pentagram today and just kind of showing off my pagan pride. But I do not agree with a very specific part of religion. So I want to make sure that's made very clear. I have no problems with religion as a whole. I can understand the comfort of knowing there's something waiting for us when we die. It's very comforting to understand that something is watching over us. I do totally understand that, and I never want to underestimate the importance of religion in anyone's life. But I do really want to get into purity culture. So I'm going to get into that today. I'm going to show you the big issues with it, the real dangers about it, and really just get into all of that muss and fuss that I've watched many YouTubers attempt to discuss, but never really quite sure how to do it without being downright derogative to religion. So I'm going to give it a shot, and I really want to make sure I make it clear. I don't want hate comments about how I hate God or I'm against religion. That is not the case whatsoever. I'm not religious, so I really don't care about your particular God. But whatever God you preach to, whatever God you love, I respect, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes in this video. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's do this. So my little dog is sitting here to join us today. I couldn't get her off the bed and it wasn't worth trying. But today, purity culture. So most people think of this as either one extreme or another, where it's like, oh, you just can't have sex until you're married, which isn't all that dangerous on a precedence in itself. The ways that they go about explaining why women specifically should wait until marriage is a little bit gross, in my opinion, and I will get into all of that in a moment. And then there's another extreme where it's the hardcore Muslims. You're not allowed to show anything but your eyes, which I've made previous videos about before. Doesn't matter. People will be attracted to what they're attracted to. If all they can see is eyes, they will find a way to be attracted to those eyes, or maybe a slip of wrist, whatever catches their interest. But these kinds of ideas are dangerous. And they're dangerous for a number of reasons, and a big one is what it leads to. And I am going to get a little graphic in this video, so you've been warned. I'm not showing any pictures. I wouldn't go that far with this, but I am going to be discussing some pretty graphic things, so you have been warned. So we in the Western side of the world have a little bit of a different ideal of purity and of Puritanism in general, which was a huge thing brought over from the French, actually, in our culture, where it's all about, oh, hi puppy, when it's all about just women have to be as pure as humanly possible. Everyone must look at everybody as just plain humans. There are no sexual aspects to it. The only person you are to look at as a sexual object is your wife or husband, which is fine. I mean, it makes for a healthy relationship, but it also makes for a hard time choosing a partner that is actually fit to you. So I am not going to say, as I've always said, you do not have to have sex with anybody to see if you're compatible and to know that you like each other. One thing has nothing to do with the other. What I am going to say is that when you teach, especially women, that they are exclusively responsible for the behaviors of men. For example, the fact that a woman wears a low-cut top means she was asking for it in the rape culture. That is not okay. There are serious problems with that mentality that boys are not responsible for their own behavior, because they are. Us girls do not have the power to drive a man crazy unless he allows himself to be swept up in, oh, we're showing some cleavage, Thus, we're offering ourselves to him. Yeah, but this all comes with the idea of this culture. It's that we women must bundle up and show nothing because that is what is going to keep us safe. But the fact is we should be safe no matter what. No matter what I choose to wear, I should be safe to walk around because we should be teaching the boys that they are just as responsible for their behaviors as we are of ours. So I am going to quickly just kind of throw this in there. If you are a woman who is all about showing herself off, I please, please, please beg you to make sure you do not put yourself in dangerous positions. Now, I am not going to shame anyone. If you want to show off all the cleavage you want, you show off cleavage, girl. If you want to wear your pants up to your ass, way to go, girl. I hope you have fun. And I really hope that means that you have confidence and self-esteem to make sure that you are in safe environments. So, as an example for this, if you dress very sexily, I guess is the best way to go with it. If you dress very sexily, make sure you are always with a group of friends. Make sure you are always safe because we do have people out there who think it's okay to mistreat someone because of how they dress. And I think that's disgusting. I don't think it's right. I think that that should not happen. But us girls do need to take precautions and play safe within our own worlds. So I'm not going to say don't dress how you want. Dress however you want. But if you are dressed in a super, super, super short skirt and super, super, super low cut top, you might not want to go and walk in some dark alleyways alone. It's not that I'm saying that they should be allowed to do anything, but we should have the self-awareness to protect ourselves. If nothing else, just be aware to protect yourself, to not put yourself in positions where someone can take advantage of you. But back to the dangers, which actually this does play into because it's part of the danger now, is we've taught boys, you're not responsible for your behaviors. You have testosterone in you, so you have to go and be a crazy caveman, and women are to dress accordingly and be treated accordingly by how they dress. And that is disgusting. That is a problem. No matter how a girl is dressed, she has every right to a respectable living. That means people around her, if you don't like what she's wearing, fine. You don't have to wear it. She does. She obviously chose the outfit that you don't agree with because she thought it made her look good. And that's all that should matter, is she is happy in her own skin. And if you are that upset about it, work on dealing with your own skin. Because something tells me if you are that angry, and I'm only putting it this way because I know a lot of women do this and I don't understand it completely. Well, I do understand it, but I wish that we could move past this, that we may have body issues in ourselves and then we project it on women. It's like, well, I don't like my legs, so how dare you show off yours? Which is just an example. I love my legs. But, we have these things where it's, well, I don't like showing that off because I'm uncomfortable, so you can't show it off either. How dare you have nicer legs than me? And it's just silliness. It just turns into, well, instead of hating on someone else for wearing something that maybe you just couldn't pull off, maybe your body type just isn't made for those clothes, and that's okay. There are clothes for all sorts of body types out there, and it all comes down to cuts and shapes. So let's stop hating on each other, women. Let's just stop that and accept that we are all beautiful in our own ways and we all have insecurities that we're dealing with. Because I bet that girl running around in a short skirt might not be overly fond of her boobs or of her nose. So that's why she's drawing attention somewhere else. So let's just learn to do that. If you are so uncomfortable with a part of your body that you have to hate others for exposing it, work on that part of your body. We live in a world where you can have your nose done. You can get stuff fixed. If you're really uncomfortable with your weight or size, I'm sorry. I am all about body acceptance, but if you are hating on a skinny girl because you can't wear what she wears, then go hit the gym, get on a diet, do whatever you gotta do to get into the body that or the clothes that you want, if it's such a problem to you. But otherwise, we all have our own flaws. We all have our own bonuses and benefits, but we all got to play with that. So let's stop hating each other. Now, my note to you men out there, keep it in your pants. We girls do not want it just whipped out because we have cleavage on. Now I get it. Some girls are into that. Some girls and some guys, like I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that general. Someone out there will be attracted to your junk, but that doesn't mean we want it shown because we have cleavage on. It also doesn't mean that you're entitled to anything. You are not entitled to anything. No matter what that girl is wearing, you still have to respect her as her own individual person. And that's all there is to it. Now, I know that there are lots of religious people out there, and I've read some, I've completely studied the Bible, I've studied most of the Torah, I have read a little bit of the Quran. I know there are a lot of similarities, especially where women are concerned. I want to clarify something for all religious people. The reason that women were treated like cattle through most of these writings was because they were trying to man thousands of armies for the Crusades. The Romans were genius with how they marketed the Bible and the rights of men and women. It was all about have lots of babies. We need lots of boys. We need lots of girls to have more boys because we are funding a multinational army. So please, let's let some of these ideas go because we are no longer fighting wars the same way they did 3,000 years ago. It is completely different. We can do more with the push of one button than 10,000 men could have done back then. We do not need to overpopulate the whole world because of some ancient doctrine that says we should. Now, I also want to state that all of those laws were written during a time when women were forced to live in sheltered spaces because they were in danger because you men couldn't keep it in your pants all the way back then. And women that walked on the streets, and I don't mean street walk, I just mean walking down the street to go shopping, had a chance of being attacked because there were no rights for them. We live in a whole new world now. Whole new world. Women have the rights to work, to vote, to own property, to do all sorts of things that would have been completely out of sorts to the Roman Empire because it would have contradicted their need to keep women small and meek so they could just keep breeding the army. We don't live like that anymore. Now, I can understand if you want to hold on to certain practices where it's the man is the protector and the woman is the nurturer. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. There's nothing overtly unhealthy about accepting basic neutral gender roles. And I say that as a biblical sense of the gender roles. You know, there's no upfront danger to that. If that's what you want and you're looking for a protector and a provider and you want to be a nurturer and a mother or whatever, and that's what you want out of life, all the power to you. There's nothing wrong with that. We do need people to keep having families or the species dies. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a biblical standard stable relationship. I get that. But there is a danger to women have to conform to this and men have to conform to this. It has sadly led to a lot of the non-binary issues that we're dealing with today. And I call them issues because I do feel like non-binary is just a way of explaining a world where we don't fit into proper gender boxes because we've been taught this gender idea through religion in especially the Western worlds for so long. It's like it's inbred into our children's minds that they have to be this. If they are a girl, they have to like pink. They have to like dresses. They have to like make. They have to be pretty. They have to want to be subservient to men. They have to want to listen to their men and their fathers in their lives. They have to want to do these things as some kind of proof to God that they are devout. And men are forced to, you are to be a provider, you are to be a good father and a good moral foundation for the family and a strong this and that. Like the list goes on both sides of a ridiculous standard that no one can meet. Like I read what a woman's supposed to be and go, I'm going to be a man. I'll be over here. I don't need this in my life. You know, like, I couldn't imagine being subservient and silent. Like, anyone who knows me, like, I do these videos and I sit here and talk for a good 20 minutes to an hour, and I could keep going. And this isn't the first time I've talked all day. Like, I've been sitting talking the ear off of my man all day long before I do these videos too. I talk a lot. It's part of who I am. And I laugh a lot, and I joke a lot, and it's just who I am. So to say that I have to sit silently in the corner, very devoutly, no emotion on my face, not allowed to laugh unless my husband made a really good joke, not allowed to socialize unless my husband has deemed it okay, I would lose my mind. And my man would have no idea what to do with himself. He wouldn't, because he'd be sitting there like, well, why are you so quiet? What is wrong? Like, what have I done wrong? And I'd be sitting there like, nothing. I'm being a devout Christian. I'm not allowed to speak unless spoken to. So ask me a question. I can give you an answer. But that's the extent of what I'm allowed to do. That is ridiculous. We need to drop a lot of this mentality that the Bible has taught us. And I say Bible like this not because I don't believe it exists. I know it exists. I know it is based in some forms of historical fact. Some. But it has been changed and doctored and adjusted and fixed and so many times that I can't say that's truth. I don't know what the truth is. And I feel no shame in saying, I don't know. But I know that that book ain't it. Not because I don't believe in religion or because I think it's bad, but because it's just been changed and redone and rewritten and retranslated. And so many things has happened to this book over the years. I can't call that truth. That's like me saying Dr. Seuss is true. I don't know. Like, if you show me original templates of what John, Peter, and Paul had to say, then maybe I would take it as truth. But to say that all these doctored papers are telling me how to live, how I should raise kids, how we should behave in public, which is super sexist and super set against us, even men and women, it's set against us. You can't win because men aren't always going to want to be the strong provider, protector type. There are going to be women who want to take that role. Even back then, there were women that took that role. We had many great women, even in history, that were better conquerors, better rulers, better advisors, better administrators than the men were. Like Catherine the Great is a wonderful example. She was a great conqueror, known to be more brutal than most men. She was a woman. She was a typical cis woman, but she was just as great as any man was. So we have to drop this Romanized, sexist idea of purity and women are supposed to follow this role and men are supposed to follow this role, because it just gets unhealthy. And then people go, where do I fit? Because I don't fit into this category. I don't fit into these scenarios. Like, as a very confident cis woman, when I was a kid, they would have called me non-binary because I just wore t-shirts and baggy jeans. I was a little bit more chunky than I am now. So I was uncomfortable with the conformed version of femininity, and I went the other way. Was I non-binary? No. I was still a woman. I was still quite comfortable as a woman, but I would have been perceived that way because I didn't conform the way we're supposed to. I still technically don't. Like, I might look the part more nowadays, but I am still a very strong, active member in my relationship and with my animals. Like, I don't have kids, I have animals. But with them, like, I am the one going, no, this is how we're going to train them. This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be. I go do the shopping, so guess who's taking care of finances? It's me. But if you go biblically, that would be the man's job to go out and get the food and get everything and spend the money as necessary. That would have been his job. But in my relationship, it doesn't work that way. And I'm a very strong-willed woman, so I don't agree with that mindset. Just as a basics. It doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work for most people. And sadly, that's where these non-binaries have kind of come into play. Because there is no set, because you're a woman, you have to do this, and because you're a man, you have to do that. And because you're a woman, you have to dress this way, and men are allowed to do this, but they can only dress this way. And it just gets crazy. I don't know about everybody else, but I think Johnny Depp as a man looks real good with eyeliner. It don't make him any less manly. It just adds to his, I don't know, what's the word? Robust charm? I don't know. But anyway, it adds to his masculinity, not diminishes from it. So to put certain things in categories as religion has tried to do, where only women can wear makeup, only men can do this, only women can do that. Women needed certain outfits and wardrobes throughout all of history. I don't know. If a man had to wear a corset more than a day straight, I bet they would have been burned. They would have had their own, like, bra burning ceremony all the way back then with corsets, if they were forced to. You know, there were some that did voluntarily to hide the fact they had the big beer bellies or something, and that was their choice. But women were forced to. And I think if men were forced into wearing certain garments, they would have been burned a lot faster than we women of resilience decided to burn them. You know, let's be real here. You know, but that's just the problem. So I really hope that I didn't step on any real religion's toes. I'm not trying to dismiss religion as a whole, just the very dangerous mindsets that come from it, just to kind of expose the problem with this mentality, the issues that are now arising because of these issues, and how if as a social community, the whole world is a global community, as a community, excuse me, we need to let it go. We need to embrace that every human is an individual. Every human has rights. And I didn't really get into the graphic part. I kind of skipped over it. But I actually do want to touch on that. I'm not going to end it yet. Actually, I do want to step on this really quickly. Just so you know, this is where it gets graphic. The biggest issue with with the purity mindset against women is circumcision. And I'm not just talking male circumcision. I'm talking female circumcisions that are being forced upon women to this day. Right now, as you're watching this, I bet someone is being female circumcised. And it is terrifying because they will never know the true joy of sex. And not just that, they may never know the joy of peeing again. Just the basic act of peeing without it hurting may be a distant memory to a child as young as 7. And that, I think, is disgusting. I think that is unforgivable. To mar and maim young girls because they are not allowed to enjoy sex. Only men of these cultures are allowed to enjoy sex because women's only purpose is to bear children. And I think that is absolutely disgusting. So below, I will have pages available for you to look into the female circumcisions, the ways that they go about doing them, and the ways and ages that they are appropriate to do. And all of it will be disgusting, but with it will be places you can go to help support these poor people who have been forced to mutilate themselves. And I wish I could say it was just euthanasia, or it was just here, or just there. But it happens all over the world. And I cannot stress enough how this brutal action must be stopped. And how these issues must be discussed. Because as long as we keep going, la 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 la, no one will ever help anybody. And that is disgusting and sad to me. We need to start making a stand against these things. We need to start stepping up and talking about how disgusting these things really are. So, excuse me, I'm getting a little choked up because I am very passionate about all of these issues. I think it's disgusting. I do think it's genuinely just heartbreaking that young girls are being forced into these situations. And boys can say they get it because they were circumcised, but the process is completely different. Boys lose a little skin off the top. Girls' whole clits are just cut and burned out. It is just heart-wrenching to know this is happening to young children. So I really wanted to do this video today. I really wanted to get a little bit of information out there in understanding why all these atheists and all of these people are kind of starting to step up and discuss these issues. And I realize I get a little bit more down and dirty than others because that's what my channel's about. My channel's about sexuality and the movement of sexuality in the world. It's not just about sex, but sexuality and what does it mean to this world, and how does understanding it really help reshape how we move forward in life. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, there will be links below to different foundations that are trying to stop the terrible mutilation of young girls. I will be putting that below. They're not anything, I'm not promoted by anything, I'm just a freelancer, but I will be putting those below to help people because I think that it's just crazy. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I was out of town. Now that I'm sitting down, I'm doing it. I'm so glad I got it out there, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you learned something. If not, hope you enjoyed it anyway. And have a good night, guys.